I'm going to wait a couple of minutes to see if, or a couple of seconds. Oh no, that's enough right there. Two people. Oh no, that's enough right there. Two people, that's enough. Okay, so real quick, peace to everybody. Um, what's happening, Keisha? Long time no hear from or see, however they say it. What's up, Void? What's up, Yoel? What's up, Dark Truth? Um, okay, I want to just touch on something. What's happening, Lokeo? What's happening, D Nail? God damn. What's happening, Benji? Peace to everybody. So I want to talk about something real quick. Uh, you know, when you start having uh your awakening, a lot of us come across similar information. Okay, one of the things we learn is that um, as we start studying etymology, is what do some of these words really mean? And we learn about using the word blessing, and we learn that blessing etymologically is the same as bleeding, and we become hesitant to use that term. Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored, you know. But because we're saying that we're, it's like we're casting a spell on ourselves, saying that we are bleeding, as in we are condoning and acknowledging suffering. Well, there's something. Then we learn. Let me stay on this train of thought so I don't. Then we learn that it is better to use the term blissing, because blissing actually means what we think we're saying when we say blessing, as in I'm receiving something that I want. But what you got to do is step back for a minute and look at that and say, ain't it funny how close those two words are to each other? And it's only separated by a vowel. Now, studying just on a surface level language, we know that consonants are transitory as far as they they convey the true meaning of the word. The consonants. Damn, Jack, you ain't got to back up to. So the if we do the gematria on the word blessing and blessing, they're both going to add up to the same thing, meaning that they have the same frequency. Another example of how words are very similar but appear to have opposite meanings. The Hebrew, one of the Hebrew renderings of the name Eve is Haya. And Haya means to be, or as in alive. Okay? But, and then on this one, you're moving a consonant. But I'm still going to apply the same basic rule. Because if you replace the Haya and turn it into Hawa, all of a sudden the word means destruction. And I'm like, well, hold on now. Hold on. Blessing turn out to be two supposedly opposite things or opposing concepts. Haya, Hawa appear to be two opposing concepts. And it's like, that's something to give pause to right there. Because everything that I've gotten as far as what would be considered to be a so-called blessing has come through a blessing. Meaning, I'm one of those people where pretty much everything I've gotten, it's been some type of struggle. I've told the story several times about me when I played sports. I was never the fastest, never the strongest. I had to work to get in shape for the running test each year for football. I had to train hard in the weight room to increase my strength. Now, thankfully, I was one of the people that when I actually trained and got stronger in the weight room, you could see the results on the football field. I knew a lot of people who were strong in the weight room, what was soft as tissue paper on the football field, which is that there's a whole other metaphysical aspect to that. But there was always a labor and a struggle for everything that I've been successful at. And it makes you sit back and reflect about this whole concept of the blessing. And it's like a growth. You know, you start out at this initial babe stage where you are discovering information and you're discovering that you've been told so long that you're a wretch, and then you go to the extreme of look how powerful I want my power. You know, it's very popular to talk about your power and your capabilities, you know, as opposed to talking about your limitations. But those two share a divine relationship, and this is part of maturity and growth. You, for all of the control that you have, you don't have any control. For all of the power that you have, you are powerless. For all of the true successes that you have, you are a fucking failure. And more attention needs to be directed in this area because the dismissiveness or the dismissal of this reality that these two share this tandem relationship is can contribute to or not can will contribute to a person remaining incomplete, to try to fool yourself into thinking that suffering is not a necessary component of winning. You render yourself, you subject yourself to unnecessary misery. Now, you can fake the funk and you can put on airs and fronts and this and that, but the true reality is that to really know, to really know, is to stand above the suffering and the winning, to understand that they both have their place. And if it had not been for the certain peace, Philip, if it hadn't been for certain levels of suffering that I have, my own personal, and this is not to compare to anybody else's journey, it's about my journey. Just like your journey is about your journey. No, it doesn't have to be validated by anybody else. The suffering that I've endured relative to what I would consider suffering has all been for divine purposes and has cultivated me into something different. You can't understand. That's why you got to be careful with being fixated and set in your outlook on anything until you have seen different sides of it and other perspectives. And which is why I'm a lot more careful now about presenting myself as anything other than a master student, because the master student is the true keeper of the light, because there's never a ceiling put on the student, but there's a ceiling on the master. Because once you think you know it all, you've seen it all, you've done it all, you have just limited yourself. Even a concept of what we think of as the divine, as God, as a prime force, the prime cause, it, even if we learn how to read scriptures correctly, it even admits to having limitations. Didn't you always learn when you were in church or whatever that God makes itself available, but can't force you. You know, you have to accept. So if this, we're talking about something that has divine power and all powerful, but you have the choice to choose whatever route you want, then that means that even as powerful as this energy is, it is limited. It itself, which is supposed to be the done data, the end all be all, has limited. God damn it, this thing is closed. Well, it looked like it's closed. It itself has limitations. So why wouldn't you think you would have limitations? It's a fine balance act on, and we don't have to worry about it, because life is gonna help your ass figure out this balancing act. You don't have to accept it. Life will show you. It will show you that there is another side. It will show you that, damn it, although the coin says head, and it's been saying head over and over and over and over, that eventually there's gonna be a tails. Shit. I'm y'all not accepting anything? Okay. I can't just drop it right here in this pile? No. Hey, is anybody else open or everybody closed? I think every other location is closed. All right. Shit. So what I'm trying, looking. I have a coffee table in the back of my truck that represent that I'm trying to get rid of, give to the Goodwill to get out of my house, because it represents, well, not because of this, but this is in tune with what we're talking about. This table represents blessing, or a period that of suffering. And ain't it funny that when you at church on communion Sunday, they have a table up in the front, and it normally has this "do in remembrance of me," and this table is to carry out the Eucharist ritual, which is the communions, the communion ritual, whereas, you know, the whole take, eat, this is my body, drink, this is my blood. This whole ritual is talking about sacrifice, suffering, blessing. So I find it funny, you know, I'm looking to get rid of this table, because this table, just like the table in the church for the sacrificial or communion ritual, represents that period in my life, that, you know, a certain segment of years. And, you know, all I look to turn everything that doesn't look like anything into something monumental. Everything's a ritual. Everything is it's all about the placement of your mind. Your mind determines this is going to be a little magical ritual that I'm going to impart on. It's nothing more than being a little baby again, a little child. You know, I used to get out in the front yard, and I was a Raiders fan, the Raiders and Chicago Bears fan growing up, and I would imagine myself as Marcus Allen, you know, and I would be who was the quarterback? I want to say it was Plunkett, Jim Plunkett. I would imagine myself as a quarterback and throw the ball to myself, and I would be the crowd. Imagine myself breaking tackles and all that. But it was, you know, it was my imagination, and I literally, in that little yard, felt like I was in Oakland, California, playing for the Raiders. They were the Oakland Raiders, you know. Then they became the LA Raiders, then went back to all that shit. But the point is, it's about imagination. And imagination is partly is just having a mindset to be present in the moment. So being present in your moment and objectifying yourself gives you the ability to go back and look and reflect. To look and reflect. It is important. Now, we can get all bogged down and into, well, this is not the real new year, and this is the bottom line. You don't have to cop to this or not, but this is the new year because this is Caesar's new year, and you're living under the helm of Caesar. Your dental insurance, all your cost of living increases at your job, everything is set up on this calendar. So it does have a place in your life whether you want to acknowledge it or not. So let's get that out the way. So before January 1st gets here, it is important that each of us takes the time to step back and reflect. Reflect on what all has happened. Reflect on what has happened in the 12 months. Reflect on what has happened in the past 12 years. And I'm thankful for all the great teachers of astrology and tarot, because I have really gotten interested in really starting to learn astrology. And the funny thing is about things is, until you want to learn something, you ain't gonna learn it, and you ain't gonna be able to learn it. So I always talk about building your library. So I've had books for years on all types of astrology, and I would pick them up, and the first part of them would be cool, and I would get to a point and be like, I don't understand none of this shit. Houses and cusp and damn squaring and tryon and all this shit, but you don't start understanding it until you want to, and until you have a real reason to start learning things, and you start seeing, okay, for example, Jupiter being in Sagittarius expansion, and I go back and look 12, and I've been telling this story over and over and over and over. Well, 12 years ago, the story I always tell about, getting to the bag, 6 figures out of nowhere, crazy money and just being a fool. Well, I didn't know back then Jupiter was going into Sagittarius. But now, in this point in life, I'm more aware. Light years more aware than I was 12 years ago. So, and I go back and look at all the things that happened partly because I was not aware of the cycle I was in, and I wasn't prepared for the blissing. I wasn't prepared for it. See, this is why you can't negate the suffering. When you negate the presence and the purpose of suffering, you rob yourself of the ability to fully appreciate your successes. I'm going to say that again. When you negate the purpose and presence of suffering, you rob yourself of the ability to fully appreciate your successes. At some point, you're going to have a success. How long you're able to ride that wave of success and benefit from its offspring is dependent on you being aware of what cycle you in, what cycle you've left, and appreciative of what you were able to learn while you were in your cycle of contraction, your cycle of oppression, your cycle of lack. You understand? You need to know where you're at or where you've been so that you can know where you're at and where you're going. That means you're becoming timeless. When you have the ability to reflect and see things from all perspectives and fuck all what you know what I'm saying? Put all the bullshit ego shit to the side and man, and just really just sit down and really look. You truly become timeless because you're seeing behind you, you're seeing what's present, and you're seeing in front of yourself all in one time. And then you become or have a greater degree of mastery of that moment. Your blessings are just as monumental as your blessings. Your destructive cycles are just as monumental as your rebuilding cycles. They got their place. The night is just as important as the fucking day. We are celebrating tomorrow a day of thanks. Now, put aside the historical. We know. But just from a pure standpoint of energy, thanks. Now, understand what time of year we're in. We're in a year where things are dying. But by the cycle going into a death cycle, you're able to extract something before there is the death of the earth. The earth gives up gifts. That's what you're celebrating. The gifts that are being extracted from death. From death. The gifts of death is what you're celebrating. Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, the gifts of death. All connected to astrology, all connected to numerology and the tarot. All things coming back to the number 4. 4 seasons. 4 suits. And we're seeing these numbers rotate. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 comes again as a number 4. 4 is a 1. Where something ends, something new is beginning. So if you've had a hellacious year, if you feel like you've had a fucked up year, take a moment to pat yourself on the back because 1, you survived. Survival should never just be overlooked. I know we're tired of just surviving and we're ready to thrive, but don't negate the importance of surviving. You survive so that you can have the ability to still be around to analyze what all happened. And through the analysis, you're able to grow. Take your time, write out everything that you have gratitude for. Everything. Do you know there was a time where we couldn't afford a $40 garage opener? So we will let the garage back the truck out, let the garage door down, walk out the door, come around, get back in the truck. Now, most people would not be excited about getting a garage opener, but the day that I was able to go to, when we was able to go to Home Depot and get a couple of garages, I was like, man, we balling. Let me back out of here and let this garage door down. You know, but if you, and I'm not saying everybody has to have that experience, but for me, having that experience, it changes your level of appreciation. You know, YouTube is a beautiful platform used properly, but it can also be just like we say, everything has an opposite. It can also be a trove of manure and shit. You know, where you give a person the opportunity to get in front of a camera and be a celebrity or a star, you know, and you can get on here and profess yourself to be whatever you want. Whatever image you want to create, you can put out here. Okay? But I think That there are some people who are looking for some sustenance, something that's going to stick to your bones. Because at the end of the day, when all of the hoopla fades away and you're stuck with the same motherfucking condition that you had, that shit don't matter. You need to know that there are people who have suffered and motherfuckers ain't stepped out of their mama's womb and then they was just, I had everything under control. Everything was just been a breeze. I was sent here by the 17th dimension to save you lost sheep. No, you need to know that this is a toil. This life experience is toil. And there's not a motherfucker down here who ain't toiling. Believe that shit. But you need to know that you can come through that and you continually graduate to new levels by you having the ability to assess where you've been, so you know where you're at and why you are where you are at and know where the fuck you are going. And I know I'm right and exact with what I'm saying. I'm right and exact. So this may be something that somebody needs to hear, because somebody might just be feeling like your whole world's crumbling and hey, all hell is going, everything's going to hell, But I want you to know, first of all, understand this. One of the most beautiful things about our existence is that all this shit goes in cycles. If you don't learn nothing else from astrology, numerology, even etymology, because if you see a word like blessing becomes quote unquote bad over here and good with blissing over there, it's showing you everything down here is broken down into cycles. Everything. The Asians are a prime example of cycles. In my neighborhood, I'm surrounded by Asians. I never see these motherfuckers on YouTube talking about what we need to do as Asians. I never. But I see them buying up houses. I see them owning businesses all around the neighborhoods that they live. Donut shop, cleaners, nail salon. But I know historically that after World War II or during that time and thereafter, there were internment camps here in the United States where some of these people, their parents and grandparents were, considered, no more than horse shit. But look at the cycle. You ain't got no damn electronics if you ain't fucking with no Samsung. If you want your car, for the most part, which I can't fit in them little shits, but if you want something that's gonna get you 300,000 miles, a Honda or a Toyota, a Lexus, an Acura. On top. Now, they can be. Now, we ain't gonna talk about just the nature of how they can treat you and this and that. But we're just talking about you gotta respect the game as far as understanding cycles, man. Cycles. You need to know that if you take the time to study yourself and what you've been through, and study the changing of the cycles, then you can start preparing yourself for the next fucking win. Will, of fortune. The wheel. Your blessings are your blessings. So I have managed to waste my time and go to Goodwill, try to get rid of this table. So check this out. I'm gonna dump this motherfucker somewhere. Uh, but I just wanted to say that, um, and I just hope that the little bit that I contribute, everybody's contributing to this gumbo. I just hope that the little bit that I contribute when I do is edifying, you know. And I want to say this. I want to say uh, thank you to everybody who who has supported, this year. And I need to apologize to, my members for Masters of the Cosmos, because I haven't been able to produce content like I want to, and I'm working on doing some different things. I did, just testing out different things. I figured out people are going in so many different directions. It's hard to get them to say, okay, we're going to sit on here and we're going to do this class. It's better to have something completely laid out in a package with a bow on it, and people can go and look at things whenever they want to. So I'm working on having more focus on a curriculum, or as far as different things put together, learning blocks put together, and then just lay them out. But I say all that to say that, it's everything is this tedious balancing act that we're going through. And even when the wheel spins back around in your favor, it can be equally as stressful as in when the wheel was appeared to be in opposition to you, to what you want. Think of it as like what they call it, a miscarriage. A miscarriage is emotionally painful, but actually going through childbirth is not no stroll in the park. Whether the woman's doing it vaginally or having a C-section, it is a tedious situation. Tedious situation. Lives are in the balance. With childbirth, death is always present. Always present. So, the thing is to again understand what cycle you're in. Understand what cycle you've left. Know what you were supposed to have learned. And trust that no matter how things seem to be playing out, because sometimes when you're in that cycle of expansion, you're frustrated because you want to be able to accommodate the expansion as best you can, and you're still feeling like, man, it's got these potholes in this. But trust that your awareness of the fact of what cycle you're in, the fact that you have done your due diligence to objectify and look at yourself and your situation to learn. Trust that is your guiding light, and that man, the ethers is the limit. So hey, it's Brother Jamal, mastersofthecosmos.com, and as always, I'm reminding you to stay down until you get up. And when you get up, stay down. I'm looking through the comments. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And hopefully, I can get back on track here and we can chop it up more often. Peace.